Hi everyone, and today I have Josh Hall with me. So Josh, welcome, and I'm really happy to have you here. I want you to introduce yourself to the audience.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, Amr. My name is Josh Hall. I'm a web developer based in Columbus, Ohio. My business is called In Transit Studios, and I partner with primarily small to medium-sized businesses, and we create websites using Divi and WordPress. And I also do print design and marketing strategies and SEO as well. Just anything that I can do to help my clients build their online presence and help them grow. So that's kind of one area of my business. And the other thing I do is I have a new site called joshhall.co, which is where I have all of my Divi resources, training, any podcast appearances for Divi. And I'm also an Elegant Themes blog author, contributor, and I have all of my archive series there as well. So you can preferably get in touch with me there at joshhall.co, and then you can check out In Transit Studios to see what I'm up to as far as my work and my portfolio.
Thanks, Josh. I mean, I've followed some of your blogs on Elegant. This is how I got to know you before I even met you virtually. It was through the blogs on the Elegant themes. And, like some of them, I have them saved on the desktop because when I forget, I go back and see, what did Josh say here?
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I didn't ask you about how we got in touch initially. I think it was through my Divi Facebook group, right? That we originally
First,
connected.
I've seen some of your blogs on the Elegant themes, and then I think before the Divi group, because somehow you told me about the Divi group. I don't know how, or maybe the Elegant Themes Facebook group where you said that there's another group, something like that. I can't
Oh
remember.
yeah, I did. Yeah, it was linked in one of one of my series. I linked to my Facebook group and a few others that are really good. So I bet that's where it was
Social
from.
media, man. You don't know where you end up and how you
Oh,
end up
I
there.
know. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's awesome though. Yeah, I got to. So Nathan, the content manager for Elegant Themes, just happens to live here in Columbus, Ohio. And so when I got involved in the Divi community, I saw that, because he posted something that said from, sometimes it shows your location where you post from on Facebook. And I
Yeah.
went ahead and I saw it was from Columbus. So I just messaged him and I said, hey, man, I'm a Divi user. And I'm really looking to get more plugged into the community. And and I took him out for coffee, and that's how we met. And then he was looking for more contributors to the Elegant Themes blog. And yeah, the rest is history.
That's brilliant. No, I really enjoy that. And, that's a good segue to what I wanted to ask you first, because I see, you're a web designer and developer yourself, which means this is your main, or was your main business at least.
Mhm.
And then now you're actually educating other web designers and developers and making them better in what they do with, Elegant Themes or WordPress in general. So, my target audience normally is the business owners. It's not the other designers. And most of them are small business owners and entrepreneurs, like, restaurants owners, teachers, yoga, personal trainers, yoga, massage therapists,
Sure.
and so on. So from their perspective in their industry, they have competition. And even in web design and development, we have competition. So why
Mhm.
did you decide to kind of make your competitors better?
Well, it is funny because I don't view other Divi designers as competitors. I guess, they are technically, but with web design, there's just such a plethora of work out there. I mean, most of my clients are local. I do have some national clients and some global clients, but primarily they're in my area. And the Divi community is such a globally based community, online community that, I just don't view it like that. I don't know. I'm just not of the mindset that, it's a dog eat dog world. I mean, I enjoy sharing information. I think from what you know about me, I think it's probably evident that I love giving back and I love helping. And I mean, that's really the main reason. I think a big thing for me is that I think about when I got started, how lonely it felt. And I remember being at a class at my community college when I started getting into web design stuff. And I remember a couple of the people being in there just just being just jerks about, collaborating on stuff. I remember one guy basically telling me off, like, if you don't know that, there's no hope for you in web design. I just remember thinking, man, if I was ever in a position where I could give help, I'm never going to be like that guy. So that's one of my primary motives. I just love the Divi community, and it's really a win-win. We were talking before we went on that it's kind of the thing where the more you give, the more you get. And so I started a Facebook group for Divi web designers. And not only has that allowed me to share a lot of my knowledge and build an online community that's incredible, but I've received a ton of support. Just today, I had a big issue with a client site, and instead of having to go into a support forum or Google online, I just asked my Divi Facebook group, and people got with me right away, and a couple people gave me the solution, and it was in a matter of minutes. So it's really, it's a total win-win. So yeah, the long and short of it is I love helping people. I love, helping fellow web designers. And I just kind of think about, what would Josh 7 years ago, because my business is 7 years old this month, what would I like to have, had help with when I got started? So that's the big thing. And honestly, it's a place where, my business is growing, and people in the Divi community, if they're looking to collaborate with other web developers, there's no better way than to keep an eye on people with what they're doing with the Divi Facebook group. You never know what kind of collaborations or partnerships can form out of that. So there's a lot of win-wins. I really, I'm just not of the mindset.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I like some things and don't like some other things about web development in general. And there are a few things that I for example, one of my clients called me the website plumber. Because I kind of like setting up things, like not just the visual stuff, but the back end stuff, which is really boring. So like, setting up the server, moving from one hosting to another, SSL certificates and DNS and all that lot, and the security part, of course.
Okay.
And some of the visual designers really hate that thing. Like,
yeah, so you actually like the back end and the unfun stuff that, like most people don't enjoy.
So there is a lot of collaboration that can happen between two people or more. I mean, the sky's the limit. We're on the internet, and the internet is everywhere.
Yeah.
So, why limit ourselves by, what we think we do?
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because when it comes to that mindset of competition, I view it as collaboration or potential partnerships. Because like you said, if you enjoy that back end stuff with the DNS settings and migrating sites, most people are not going to enjoy that. Even folks like me who have been in WordPress for a long time, I do that kind of stuff, but it drains me usually. I don't enjoy doing that kind of stuff. So I prefer the design, the marketing, and the sales. So that's a really good point. I think that's why I don't have that mindset, because there's always, there's things you're better at, and there's things that people are better at than you. So yeah, I think it's great.
And there's no way that one person will know and do everything on their own. That's just not possible in any industry, not just ours.
Right. Or if, in my case, I still wear almost every hat in my business. There are things that I'm finally realizing I need to get some help on, because it's just, for example, if I'm doing a migration, it might take me a half an hour. It might take you 10 minutes if you enjoy it. And, so there's a lot of things like that equal, good collaboration.
Of course. So, as I was saying earlier, I speak with a lot of small business owners, and a lot of them are actually new in getting control with their website, because as you know, a lot of even your clients will be completely hands off, like, Josh, take care of everything for us, and they don't want to know anything. And what I'm trying to do now, I'm trying to educate business owners that you guys are running part of your business online, and if you're in e-commerce, of course, you're running all your business online.
Sure,
you need to take control. So a lot of people, when they start with the page builders that come with the hosting. And of course, I and many others will tell them that's not good enough for running a business online. You need WordPress. So I wanted to ask you, since you're one of a fellow WordPress experts, if you're going to tell somebody use WordPress, why?
Generally, so it's interesting you asked that, because most of my clients don't care how I build a website. They just want it to look good and function right. Some of my clients know about WordPress, others don't. The clients who are updating sites, you tell them about WordPress. I tell them a little bit about Divi, and I did a whole series on the Elegant Themes blog about client documentation that's really helped me out. And essentially, I make like a training video and give them resources to Divi and WordPress. That way they can at least manage basic things. But initially, I say WordPress because WordPress is scalable. It's easy to build. It's easy to grow off of. It's nearing, I think the last I saw, it was at least 28% of the internet, which means we're probably getting close to the 30% mark, I would imagine. I mean, that was, gosh, several months ago I heard that. So you know, I don't know what it's at right now, but I'd say it's getting up there. It's one of the most popular ways to build websites. It's ideal for SEO. I talk about plugins and add-ons to the effect, you know, what you could build in WordPress with different tools and themes. You know, if you were to custom build that, if you were to custom code that, you're looking at tens of thousands of dollars potentially, and you can cut that, you know, in half or by a quarter if you do it with WordPress. And so, yeah, those are the main draw points. If they want to know about it, you know, like I said, a lot of my clients, they don't want to touch it, but if they are a little more tech savvy and they're curious, those are kind of the main points why I recommend WordPress.
Yeah, and they don't need to be very technical in order just to update bits and pieces on a WordPress website.
Right. Yeah. I really try to make it as user-friendly as possible for them, even if they're, sorry, I got my phone ringing here. Even if the client wants to make basic updates, generally I try to make it as easy as possible for them. If they're really savvy, they can learn more about Divi and all that, but generally most of my clients just make text edits. They will post blogs, change some text around, but I try to keep them off the front page. I was just talking with a fellow web designer about that today, because the problem with having clients update their sites is they can blow up your work. So I had one client several months ago who I had a beautiful front page design, and then they went in and just loaded it with text, and it just looked awful. And so I put a disclaimer on my portfolio page that basically tells everyone, you know, these sites may not reflect the initial build, because if clients are managing them, it might not look as good. So yeah,
I've seen that a couple of days ago somewhere else, not on yours, but I love the way she put it, one of the girls. And it's like she says that whatever I'm showing you here might not be what I've designed, because once we give it to the client, then they have the liberty of changing everything. Yep.
Now, I know some developers will keep the original site on like a test server, so they can link back to that just in case a client blows it up. But yeah, that's the risk you run into when you have clients updating their sites.
Yeah. So that's the other question that I had, but you kind of touched on it. Because we say, why WordPress, you know, and then the next thing is why Divi. So to people who don't know what Divi is, guys, Divi is a theme. As you know, WordPress runs on themes, or we call them sometimes templates, whatever it is. So it's like the framework where you will build your website inside. And what I like, the way I talk about Divi to people who are not developers, I tell them it's like Lego. It's like building blocks. So you've got your big box of Lego, and you can pretty much do anything with it, right? So in the beginning, it seems a little bit complicated because you don't know how to put things on top of each other and make them look good and function. But after some time, and I'm not talking sometimes as in years, but maybe, I don't know, a few hours, you will learn everything. And then
that's a good point. That's a good analogy. I never thought about it like Legos, because I often equate it to a car. It's funny because I talk to my family and they're like, so what do you do exactly? And even my wife, who helps out with the business now, and she knows about Divi. When we were dating and engaged, she had no idea what I did. She knew I built websites, but you know, it's so hard to explain sometimes when it comes to all these different tools and platforms. So that's a really good analogy. The way I've explained it in the past is like a car. So WordPress would be like the engine. It's kind of what's driving your car. It's really the platform that you're building off of. Divi, which is the theme, is what you use. It's kind of like the shape of the car, and it gives you the options for, okay, is it a 2-door or is it a 4-door? Is it a truck or is it a small car? Does it have big tires or small tires? You know, that kind of Divi to me is kind of how you build the car. And then you've got, you know, CSS and HTML and coding languages that I'm sure we don't want to bore everyone with. And that would be the styling of the car, you know, what color it is and stuff like that. So yeah, Divi to me is kind of it gives you the options to, like you said, build. So whether it's Legos, whether it's a car, yeah, it gives you the options to build things and take it to the next level. So, and what's so great about Divi in particular is it appeals to new people who just want an easy way to build a website, or it appeals to people like you and myself who are probably more advanced in web design, and we can really take it to a whole nother level. So it's really cool. It's a very versatile tool. And I build every single one of my sites off of Divi in WordPress. I don't do any other development. So it's pretty awesome.
I tend to do a mixture between Divi sites and non-Divi sites. It depends on what the client wants, but I try as much as possible to use Divi. It's not just because I love it, but it's very flexible. You know, you don't like something, just take it out and add something else right away. It's not, you know, the other themes don't give you that.
Yeah, yeah, it's a drag and yep, it's a drag and drop builder, but it's so much more than that because it gives you modules and you can easily embed things and import things. And for me, it was funny because at first I wasn't sold on Divi. I thought it was pretty cool, but I felt like it was very limited because it is a blank slate unless you use
unless you get a child,
child theme or something that's already built for you. It's really a blank slate, which can be intimidating. So at first I didn't really care for it, but then I was trying to build a site off of a different theme, and I had to use short codes, and I had to get this one thing custom developed, and I had to pay like several $100s for somebody to develop this piece. And I was like, wait a minute, Divi has that built in. And so it just like it crossed for me. And then some of my older sites, which I still have to update older sites that aren't Divi, and it's a nightmare from years ago. Like, oh, I wish it was Divi. So yeah, it's just awesome. WordPress and Divi, and then with all the extensions that you can add on to that. You know, a lot of my clients will want a calendar, or if they want to sell, you know, a couple products on their site, there's extensions that are very easily integrated, and you can add payment options and things like that, you know, it can be a real nightmare if you don't have the tools. So
that actually brings me to something that I always tell my clients, and you know, something I speak about everywhere when I go and speak in public. I tell them it's more important for your website to be functional, because a lot of people think that a website is a piece of beauty, but they don't realize that it has to do something. So you know, when we speak about Divi and plugins and adding things on, that's exactly the why WordPress part as well. Because, you know, if you've had to do this prior to WordPress and Divi, it would have been a nightmare. It would have cost you like tens of thousands of dollars to accept payment online, for example. Or or to build a mailing list, or to have customers book you through an online calendar. So it's all the functionality. I always tell people it's a business, guys. It's not just a website, something that looks good. Yes, okay, branding is great, but if it doesn't work, you know, you said car, and it's funny because in one of my, I do like tips of the day videos. And in one of them, I said, nobody likes the Ferrari that won't start. You don't want to have a Ferrari in the garage that doesn't start. If you have a Toyota that starts, you'll take the Toyota, you will not take the Ferrari because it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because the site can look beautiful, but if it doesn't function, or, you know, if you're needing to spend tens of thousands of dollars to get something custom created, that could be a nightmare. Yeah.
So if I'm a business owner now and I'm looking to do something to my website, so I wanna find a designer, what do I look for? So, you know, most people will Google, which is fun, and then they'll get the list of who's in their area and whatever. They get like hundreds of us, right? So what should they be looking for in their web guy?
Web guys, it's tricky because unlike a lot of other service businesses, and by that I mean like photographers or, you know, designers or something where, you know, you're looking for some sort of consultation or, you know, service like that. Web designers are going to be with you for a long time. Even if you just want a quick website done, you know, they're going to come back into play when it comes to hosting renewals, domain renewals, email setup, changes to your website. You know, there's a lot of things, and that's kind of what's, I think, unknown in the whole website industry, is that when people choose a web designer or a web design company, they don't realize that you're in it for the long haul. So that's one thing I tell a lot of my clients, and I'm even more picky about my clients now because I want to make sure it's somebody I enjoy working with or that's going to be worth my time.
They become family, man.
They do become family. I mean, some of my clients are really good friends now, and that's kind of, maybe that's a whole different discussion in itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I talk to my clients all the time now. It's very frequent, and this may segue into something else, but I have a maintenance and security plan, which is
I was going to ask you about that, so you might as well mention it.
yeah, it's very important. So the way it works and the way my process works with my clients is if a small business needs a website and they want to say take payments or they want to have an online calendar or something like that, no matter how small or big the website is, we build the website, which is what I consider kind of like phase one. And then phase two would be adding maybe social media, adding marketing strategies, maybe getting a MailChimp emailing list set up. But the other big part of that is maintenance and security, because WordPress needs to be updated. Divi needs to be updated. You need to have somebody maintaining your site. And the big question is, for a client, they could say, well, can I update the site? And I say, yes, but sometimes updates break the site. And if you don't have
one page.
if you don't have your site backed up, if it's not maintained, it's not optimized, it can be a real nightmare. And you can, of course, get hacked if you don't have somebody maintaining your site. So
are we trying to scare people or no?
No, I just, that's what I tell my clients is it is a very big deal. You could go to like Wix or Squarespace and they have some of those security options built in, but you're getting cheap stuff and you're getting stuff that isn't scalable and all that. On the other hand, you can go to really expensive companies, something that I'm charging maybe $2,000 for. Some companies are charging maybe 10, 15 grand, maybe more than that. So I feel like, yourself, myself, and a lot of people in the WordPress community are kind of right in the middle, to where we're not going to be the cheapest option, but we're not going to be the most expensive. But I personally believe we give you the most value for your investment, because we build something quality that's scalable, and then we also maintain it. And that's the reason I have that monthly support plan. And that's why I tell people, to answer your question, what do they look for? You need to find somebody who is competent, who knows what they're doing, but is also someone you like working with. And
someone's fun to work with, and someone who makes things uncomplicated. So,
yes, that's exactly it. Because I talk to clients differently. Some clients are more savvy, so I can tell them about WordPress. I can tell them about certain plugins. Some clients can barely turn on their computer, so of course I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna make it really simple. I'm gonna say, look, here's your website. Websites can get hacked. You need to make sure the website is maintained and protected. And that's kind of the angle I go for. And it's really a win-win. It's a win-win, obviously, for me, because it's recurring income, and it gives me an opportunity to manage the site and optimize it, make sure it's running smooth, and back it up. And then I do Google Analytics reports as well. So each month my clients get a snapshot of how many views they're getting and all that good stuff. But then for the client, they can make sure their site is up to date. They can make sure that things aren't going to get hacked. There's a lot of different pros, and they can, I generally offer to do quick updates too. So if a client says, hey, I have an event coming up next month, can you post that? I do it real quick.
The point that I wanted to people to make the difference between, there are two types of updating. If you say, there's the updating the infrastructure, which is updating security, WordPress plugins and themes and so on, and that part is the maintenance plan. And there's also the updating, which means you want to change the text or you want to add an image or whatever, which a lot of small business owners nowadays want to do themselves, but some others feel like, I'm not comfortable because things might break. So could I get my web guy to do that for me?
Yeah.
That's probably, in some cases, it's chargeable. And some people within their maintenance plans, they include 1 hour or whatever of text and image update.
Yep, that's exactly what I do. Is with my maintenance plan, I say, if you have any quick updates month to month, as long as it doesn't take me more than about a half hour, which most updates don't, that's fine. And most of my clients, they don't have updates month to month. Sometimes they do. Some are more active than others, but it works out great because I can take that, I can take care of it for them. And if a client does have, say, 3 or 4 hours worth of work, I just let them know, I'd be happy to take care of that for you. It's just going to be at my hourly rate. But I do try to make it as easy as possible for clients to update the site themselves. And then if they get into something that they don't know how to do, or they want to really add some nice designs, that's where they can have. And like I said, the reason why it's so important to pick a good developer, a good designer, is because you need to be able to communicate moving forward very easily. The biggest thing, and it's so funny, man, because I just had a meeting before this with a fellow web designer who's having a lot of growing pains himself. And he used to work for the biggest web design agency here in Columbus. And he said that they are notorious for just turn and burn. They build a website, then they bail. And then everything always goes south and it's always a mess. But they just get so many new clients that they get a new client, they build their website, it might be crap, whatever, then they just bail. And that's what I have always strived to avoid. I would rather have 100 really good clients that I can maintain and be on board with than 100 clients a month where you just put out some half-ass work and then you move on. And I think that's really important. You got to find somebody who's competent and that you like and who's going to be in your corner moving forward, because it is a partnership. It's a partnership.
Of course it is, yeah. And I totally agree with what you said, because a lot of business owners nowadays think that a website is a one-off thing. A website is a tool that you guys use to grow your business online. Yep. So it's a tool like everything, like every tool you use, like your mobile phone is a tool, right? Are you going to stop using your mobile? Is it a one-off? It's not. So your website is exactly the same thing. It's not a one-off. You grow, your website grows, you update, your branding change, your offering changes, you have new events, you launch new products. There's always something going on that has to be reflected on your website as well as on your social media. So it's not, I know that for some small business owners, having a working website was so painful to the point that they don't want to even think about touching it again. And then after a few years, it becomes dated and it doesn't reflect them anymore. And it also, if the back end is not, the plumbing part is not updated, then it's open for hacking and all sort of malicious stuff that can happen. And I'm not saying this to scare people. I'm just saying, would you go to bed and leave your front door unlocked?
That's a good point.
You can, but
no, it's very true. I mean, I know it's very intimidating, and I'm even still trying to kind of refine my initial process with how I talk to potential clients and how I educate them. Because you don't want to overwhelm a client. And generally when it comes to maintenance and security, I don't bring that up until, unless they feel comfortable, unless I feel like they can handle it. I generally don't talk about that until the project is completed or, close to completion. Now, if we do e-commerce work, that's a must. I just recently made that mandatory. If I'm going to do an e-commerce site, we're going to manage that and we're going to train you, then you have to be on my monthly plan, because you cannot have a store that's not maintained and not secured, because and if you're taking credit card payments, you're putting yourself at liability and risk. So there's a lot of things right there. And even for simple clients, so I generally, even if it's something to where they don't want my full maintenance plan, I'll offer them just a basic maintenance plan to where at least they get the stats, I can update the plugins and all that, and they can have me in their corner for quick updates. And it's worked out pretty well. Not every one of my clients goes on board with that, but I think the clients that have done it are really seeing the value, and it's paying off for them. So it's pretty awesome.
This is great, because the point that I had today, like my business tip of the day today, was about SSL security certificates, because as you know, Google started it, and I think Microsoft is now following suit with their browser as well.
Oh, okay.
I have like a big red thing that says not secure. Like, look, this is something easy to buy. It's cheap. SSL certificates. It's easy to install. There's no reason why everybody should not have one.
And Google, I know that Google will ding your site too, ranking wise, if it's not secure, if it's not an SSL secured site. So it's really important. And I use SiteGround for my hosting, and they do free SSL certificates, the basic ones. You can get more advanced certificates, but it's awesome. I have all my, I try to get all my clients on there, and then I can just do a free SSL certificate. And it's great. So I
like that. A lot of the hosting companies nowadays are securing your site for you without even telling you. They have their own certificate on the main server, and if it's a shared hosting, everyone is secure. But if you want to have your own, and certainly if you're going to be running selling anything online. I mean, when we say e-commerce, a lot of people think of Amazon. We're not discussing something that big.
Right.
It could be
Right.
something as simple as you're selling an ebook online. It could be something like you, Josh, for example, you have some of your child themes or some of your buttons on sale on joshhall.co, right? So you do need to have a certificate in order to be able to sell online, because there's a liability, because there's some transactions going on there.
Right.
So that's the idea that a lot of people think is not important.
And
I'm glad that Google is pushing them.
Yeah, and a lot of people are catching on to that too, to where if they go to a site that doesn't have a secure, even if you're not tech savvy, a lot of people are catching on to whether it's secure or not. So if you don't have a secure site, good luck selling your products. People are going to notice that.
Yeah. And like a lot of people who are non-techies would know now the difference when you look up there and it says secure or not secure. It doesn't take, you don't need to learn anything in order to understand what this means.
Right.
Someone who's lazy enough not to, do you want to be doing business with, even if the transaction itself is not online, it shows that the website owner is lazy.
Yep, exactly.
Because it's not complicated to get it done.
Yep.
Okay, this brings me, because I'm aware of your time as well, Josh. My last question would be, you get this question probably like a million times as well. What's the anatomy of a successful website? What should it look like, or what should it have or not have, or
Yeah, so there's really probably a few different parts to that, but initially I think it comes down to probably two main things: design and functionality. Design being is the look and the feel of your site representing your brand, your company, and is that converting sales. One big thing I recommend is to have your call to actions figured out before you design. And what I mean by that is, do you want people to call you? Do you want people to email you? If you're an automotive service, do you want people to request a quote? Those kind of things should be figured out. And then aesthetically, you can design the website around those big call to actions. So that's one of the main things I do with all my new clients. Is I say, what do you want somebody to do on your website? Do you want them to buy a product? Do you want them to look for more information? Do you want them just to contact you through a contact form? For me, I don't want to get phone calls. So I have my phone number buried in my contact page. I want to get an email so I can decipher that, look through it, and then we can take the next step. I don't want to be caught off guard, with a ton of phone calls, and like vice versa. I don't want to just be calling potential clients who might be taking their kids to soccer practice or something. Yeah. So, having that really identified is very important. And from a functionality standpoint, you want to make sure that your site is loading fast, and you want to make sure it's doing what your potential clients want to do.
That's a very important thing as well, the loading fast, because the most of the beautiful designs sometimes are based on heavy graphics, which makes the site pretty slow. So this is another thing. Sometimes you have to find the right balance between looking good and actually working well.
Yep. Yeah, it's tricky, and that's why you need, a professional developer to help you all out with that, because people, and I've seen that happen not only in the Divi community, but with people who try to do it themselves. If you put images in there and you don't know how to optimize those for web, well, you might put a huge image that takes 20 seconds to load, and you're not going to do any good web traffic with, having a site that slow. So yeah, those are big parts to it. And like I said, design and functionality in regards to, when it comes to a successful site, can you scale it easily? Can you add pages? If you want to add more contact forms or like an advanced form, and that's why I use WordPress and Divi, because it's so easy to do those things. And, if a client says, hey, I want to add a calendar, or I want to add payment options, these tools give us the ability to do that. So those are really the other big parts to it. There's design and functionality being all those tools mixed in together to make sure you have the tools to achieve what you want to achieve online. So yeah, those would be the two biggies if I could simplify it.
I love the part when we say scalable, because also, like initially any website, small business website, we're talking about like maybe 5-6 pages, takes somewhere around maybe 8 weeks. But when you want to add something, that could be really quick. So like, the initial development might take 8 weeks, but if you want to add a calendar or a payment option or whatever, that could be a matter of days or even hours, depending on, what you choose. And that's great because nothing else does it. Like if you go, I always tell people there are two extremes here. There is bootstrap and do it yourself, which will cost you $0, or you think it's costing you $0, right? But it will cost you somewhere around maybe, 80 hours or 60 hours of your available time.
Right. What is your time worth? Yeah, that's one thing I tell clients too. It's like, I am not going to mess with the plumbing in my house because I'm not a plumber. I'm just going to screw it up, and it's going to cost me much more than if I just had a professional do it. And that's definitely the mindset.
Put your head in it and spend 1 full week learning how to do plumbing right. Yeah.
Yep. And what's funny about that, man, is some of my best clients are people who have got burned by other developers or cheap designers. I had an author who I work with, and she's a great monthly, recurring client. And she originally said my quote was too high, and she was real nice about it, but she said, it's just too high for me. I'm going to go with a cheaper developer. She came back to me a month after that and said she was having a nightmare experience. It was awful. And she realized that I was probably going to be worth the investment. And we moved forward, and she loves me. It's a great working business relationship, and she continues to have me manage the site, and things are going really well for her. So she, that ROI was huge for her. So
I love that because this is one extreme. The other extreme is people who look for the word agency, and that's why I never use that word in any of my copy. I don't want to be an agency. Even if my business grows and I'm hiring another 10 people, I'll never call it an agency.
Yeah, that's a good point.
An agent is somebody who's an agent. He's not involved in your business. He's an external entity who doesn't want to be part of your business. And that you pay a big premium also to deal with an agency. Vancouver City here. You probably know I live in Vancouver. So.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Vancouver. Right.
So the city of Vancouver paid $8,000 just to have a new logo.
Okay.
And because it was done by an agency, $8,000 just for one thing, a logo.
Yeah.
Right. And turns out Ace people didn't like the logo, so they reverted back to their old logo. Anyway.
Oh wow. Yeah. Well, and it is even, and I'm sure it's the same there as it is here in the States and probably globally, is people want to work with more personalized services now. It's different than a few decades ago.
The sweet spot is in the middle. You don't want to waste your time becoming a web guru because that's not your forte. That's not your business. Your business is what you do as a restaurant or as a personal trainer or whatever you do. And that's the thing that you love. And the reason you started a business at the first place is to be able to do more of that. The website is just to help you get more clients. And, I also get this all the time. A lot of people, and sometimes even it includes us, the web guys, you get a lot of your business coming from offline sources. So it's coming from referrals and meeting people and networking, which is great.
Yeah.
But I always tell people, look, even if 99% of your business is coming from offline sources, don't discount the fact that people you meet in person, the first thing they'll do when they get your business card, they go and research you.
That's exactly the point I was going to make, because just about 100% of my business, my leads are referral based. I'm very big into networking. I started my business. Yeah. I started my business with people I knew and family members and friends and people I knew in organizations. And it is important. People need to know, like, and trust you. But for me, let's say, for example, with my networking group, there's people in all different industries. If my automotive guy, somebody comes in and happens to, he knows that they need a website, he's going to refer me out because he knows, likes, and trusts me. But that person is going to look right at my website. Like you said, they're going to check up on my work, my testimonials. They're going to see what I'm up to. And they're going to do a little bit of research. 9 times out of 10, people visit my website before they talk with me. So I hold a lot of value in my website. I need to make sure I update it which I need to do right now. It's already a little bit outdated, but I need to make sure it's representing
By the way, web
me.
designers are the worst people to update their own websites.
Right. Yeah. It's like the plumber with a broken toilet. Yeah. Yeah. It really, but it's huge. You know, it's got to be such a good representation of you. And clients that don't have that have no idea how much money they're losing. I have a local lawyer that we built their site 3 years ago. And it's a fairly small site. I did it for a pretty small budget. We did a little bit of SEO work, but nothing major. And he just recently told me that over half of their leads come in from their website, from the Google presence. So, you know, gosh, imagine if we really took that to the next level, you know, it could be huge for them. So yeah, it's huge.
And it will affect the offline relationships as well.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to tell people. Like personally, for example, for me, because it's funny. I mean, we are internet marketers and web designers, and we do everything online, and we rely on the internet to get things done. And like we rely on the internet to get things done, not only in our business, like in our daily life too. So if I'm looking for anything, like a massage therapist, sometimes, you know, when you get the pain in your for us it's always neck and shoulders.
Yep, usually about 4 o'clock, right about now is when I start feeling it.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a massage therapist, the first thing you'll do, you'll Google them. So even if somebody had given you their business card and you have it and you met them in person, you want to go online and see what they do.
That's just it. Well, now what's really popular now with social media is everyone's always looking for recommendations. So I get tagged in posts all the time where it's like, does somebody know a good web designer in Columbus, Ohio?
Yeah.
And they say, oh, check out Josh. Well, if they look me up, they're going to look at my website. They're very rarely are they going to message me without checking up on me first. So yeah, that's huge. It's very critical. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Josh. And I'm glad we've had this conversation. And I hope that we have at least given some of our small businesses and entrepreneurs an overview of how to have a successful website.
Definitely. It's been a pleasure talking with you, Amr. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you. And we'll meet online again.
Definitely. Shoot, I might have you take care of some of the back end stuff that I don't enjoy. So we'll be talking soon for sure.
Ready to do your plumbing, but the web, not the actual one.
Yeah, website plumbing. Yep.
Thanks, Josh. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks, man. You too.
See you. Bye-bye.